Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? This is Dan here with Cigar Salute. So I want to thank you guys for the positive feedback and all the love and the time that you guys took to watch the Venderable 2019 feature. Okay, so the feature was dropped about a month and a half ago, and it is on the cusp of 1,000 views. And, for my channel and the rate at which my videos are watched, it's doing very well. It's not the first time I've hit 1,000 views on a video, but it is climbing faster than I anticipated in the amount of views it's getting. So I'm very pleased that people are taking the time to watch it. And, I've gotten a bunch of new subscribers since I dropped that video. And we have a bunch of newcomers to the community since I dropped the Venderable 2019 feature. I'd like to welcome you all and thank you for taking the time to view my content. And you'll find that the group of guys that we got that frequent the comment section on my channel and whatnot, you'll find they're a great bunch of guys, and some of them I consider to be dear friends. So thank you again for that support, and thank you again for your feedback. And several of you have reached out to me, and you have now placed your first order of Cuban cigars based on my video. And I can't tell you how much that means to me, that I am helping folks who were sitting on the fence and had maybe heard about being able to order Cuban cigars online from overseas and get them, but were scared to try it. And now they are no longer afraid to do so. And they have now received their very first boxes of Cuban cigars, and, they couldn't be happier. So, this is what I set out to do when I created this channel a few years ago, and to see that coming to fruition, and to see that it's connecting with people and whatnot, that's really reassuring to me that I'm on the right path here. And I'd also like to thank those who have reached out to me with constructive criticism in the past about the video or audio quality of the channel, and suggestions on how to make it better. One of the biggest complaints that I've gotten about the audio or video quality of the channel is that there were several of you who said that you had a difficult time hearing me speak at certain points in some features. And pleased to say that I have now added a microphone into the mix here for my little setup. The problem is with cigar channels on YouTube is that Google owns YouTube, and Google does not allow tobacco-centric media to be monetized, meaning that even if my channel blew up and I started getting advertisements on the videos, and every video started getting 100,000 hits and I got 20,000 subscribers, it wouldn't net me a dime because they don't allow content producers to profit off of tobacco-centric media. So it is what it is. I was never expecting to make money doing this. This is something I do for fun. On the other hand, too, there's certain things that, were fairly easy within my reach to fix. I started using the InShot app to produce the videos. That allowed me to start inserting pictures into the videos without having to stop them or pause them, or some of you guys remember in the older videos where I tried using a projector screen, or I shot the camera at the TV to show you guys photos and stuff, and that has allowed me to keep the streamline and continuity of the videos much more fluid, because now I don't have to break up videos to show you guys photographs, and I can exemplify my points much more efficiently. So I am trying to, upgrade the quality of this stuff for you guys and make it more enjoyable for you to watch, and not have it look so rough shot and unpolished, because, I do understand, okay, guys, I really do. Maybe it's not very apparent by the quality of some of the videos in the past, But I do come from a background where I played in a band, and I did record a full-length album and an EP in a professional recording studio. So I understand things like acoustics. I understand things like, condenser microphones. I understand digital audio workstations and whatnot. I don't really have any background in video or video editing, and that's pretty obvious at this point, I think. But, I am doing my best with the knowledge that I have. And you also got to remember, again, I'm not getting paid for any of this stuff, and I really have no use for any high-end computer other than, editing videos. So every video has been shot on a cell phone. And as it stands now, I have a pretty good cell phone. I'm using a Galaxy Note 9, which I know it's not brand new, but it is a high-end phone. And it does enable me to have a higher quality of video than I was able to do previously with the Motorola that the original videos were shot on. And the microphone is also hooked up to my cell phone, by the way. For any of you audio geeks, it's a Blue Yeti microphone. So it's nothing super fancy, but it'll get the job done. So I hope this rectifies, any of the audio issues that people were having with my content, and hopefully you guys will hear me better if you're listening to me in the car or listening to me out on the back porch or whatever, which segues into my next point. Somebody asked, Dan, I notice other cigar bloggers, they make videos in much more digestible formats, and they release a 5-minute video, a 10-minute video. The last few videos you dropped have been well over an hour long, and the last one was over 2 hours long. You'd be so much more popular if you made videos that just got to the point and kept it short and sweet. Well, everyone has their own style of doing things, and, I'm friendly with plenty of guys who like to drop short and sweet videos. Post Alone, he makes some great content, and it's short and sweet and right to the point. And that man's got a hell of a collection. He's sharing some good information with the community. And, there's plenty of other bloggers that keep it short and sweet. The reason I typically do not is because I do not drop videos as often as other cigar bloggers, and also for the very reason that I enjoyed listening to cigar bloggers to begin with. And part of the reason I resonated so well with Dr. Joe when he was making videos is because when I first discovered Dr. Joe in early 2014, I often found myself having hour-and-a-half commutes several times a week. And often on these commutes, I would light a cigar when I got into my car, and I would look for cigar-related media to listen to while I was smoking and driving. And the thing I liked about Dr. Joe's features was that oftentimes his feature directly correlated with the length of a cigar. So I try to design my videos to be the length that it, to take the amount of time that it would be for you to smoke a cigar while you were watching it. My videos are meant to be smoking companions. Okay. And, the style that I like to do is something that I would personally refer to as like lounge talk. I like to think of you guys as being in a cigar lounge with me, and me sitting around and bullshitting with you guys like you guys were sitting across from me at a cigar lounge. That's the environment I like to create. That's the environment I like to have. And I feel like that's something that I do pretty well, and a lot of the guys that reach out to me telling me that they're feeling what I'm doing, that's something that they notice as well. And also a big reason why I like to keep the videos at a long length is that they ensure that cherry pickers will lose interest probably well before I drop any sort of sensitive information. Okay, if you notice in my videos, it usually takes a good amount of time for me to get into the real meat and potatoes of what we're talking about. And usually the apex of the video doesn't come till later. And the reason for that is that folks that are just looking for a quick bit of information, they'll watch for 5 minutes and lose interest, and then they will click elsewhere. Those are not the folks that I'm catering to, and those are not the folks that I want necessarily to have the information that I'm trying to share with you guys. Okay? I don't need somebody to click on one of my videos and watch for 30 seconds and now know the current security features in a Cohiba band. I don't want somebody to watch my videos for 30 seconds and now know how the serial number system works on a box of Cuban cigars. So I hope you guys can appreciate that, trying to protect some of the less widely known authenticity checks and tells. And I hope you guys can appreciate that I'm trying to protect the value of the information that I present to you. And also, I enjoy talking to you guys. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, I don't make videos as often as other bloggers. Maybe that'll change one day, but probably not. So when I do get the time to make a video, then I am going to say what I feel needs to be said. And the more subscribers that I get and the more viewers that I get and the more immersed in the world of Habanos that I become, the more information I have to share with you guys. Okay? So the first thing that we're going to get into is some corrections that I need to make from the Venerable 2019 feature. And I want to thank a newcomer to our community here, Ad, for bringing this to my attention. So after the Venerable 2019 feature dropped, Ad placed an order with Cigar One and ordered himself a box of Cohiba Exquisitos, and he received them shortly thereafter. Now, Ad is new to ordering Cuban cigars online from overseas vendors, but Ad is not new to Cuban cigars. He has purchased them while traveling abroad before. He is familiar with the warranty seals and everything else. He knows about packaging. He understands how Habanos come packaged and whatnot. So he's not a day one Cuban cigar smoker. Okay, and immediately when he received his package, he noticed the health warning sticker written in Spanish on the outer protective cardboard box of the Cohiba Exquisitos, and he also noticed the round blue sticker for Imperial Tobacco / Tabacalera SA, which is the authorized Habanos SA distributor for Spain. Now, if you didn't catch that, the red flag in that scenario right there that I just described is, why would Cigar One, who claims to be an official Habanos retailer, be selling regular production stock that was obviously procured from the Spanish regional distributor when they are supposed to be selling stock from the Swiss regional distributor, Intertabac AG? So when Ad presented this question to me, I didn't have an answer for him, okay? There would be a reasonable explanation if it was regionals or something of the sort, because after 2 years, Habanos SA distributors are authorized by Habanos SA to trade regional edition cigars that they have left over amongst themselves, which is why you are now seeing in 2019 and 20, you are seeing these La Gloria Cubana Serie D number 5s at every vendor under the sun on sale, because there was 50,000 boxes made. There is absolutely no way that Tabacalera SA is going to get rid of them all inside of Spain, and they are selling them to anyone who will buy them. And that is the norm. Okay, it is not abnormal to see regional edition cigars that came out in 2015, 16, 17, and 18. It's not uncommon at all to see them on other vendors' websites that are not located in those regions. But this is regular production stock we're talking about. So the same week, I noticed that another one of my viewers, that he had received a 3-pack of Romeo and Juliet short Churchills, I believe it was. I might be mistaken on the vitola, but I know it was Romeo and Juliet. And it too had a Spanish health warning sticker on it. So after seeing this, I reached out to Mark from Cigar One via his Instagram page. And Mark is the one who he maintains the Cigar One Instagram page. So if you guys are looking to get in touch with him quickly, that's probably the best place to reach him. And I will say that I've known Mark for a long time, since 2014. I don't talk to him all the time or anything like that. We're not like super chummy like that. But Mark is a super helpful gentleman, and he's always been nothing but a gentleman to me. So this is in no way me disparaging Mark or anything like that, or his business. And he is not the owner of Cigar One, by the way, as far as I'm aware. But I could be wrong on that. But I will say that Mark confirmed with me that while I had said in the Venderable 2019 feature that Cigar One was an official Habanos SA authorized retailer, that unfortunately is not the case. They are not allowed to obtain the Habanos specialist status due to the fact that Cigar One is strictly an online business, and they are not tethered to any physical location. They are out of Switzerland, but they are an online only business. So the fact that they have no retail shop means they cannot attain the Habanos specialist status. And also, Mark did confirm with me that Cigar One obtains roughly 90% of their stock from Intertabac AG, which is who they're supposed to be obtaining that stock from. But in order to fill out of stocks, occasionally they do use other regional distributors to procure stock from when their assigned regional distributor, Intertabac, when Intertabac is out of stock on something and Cigar One needs to restock, they will reach out to other distributors. So there is a small possibility that you could receive stock without a barcode. It's not the norm, but it is possible. So I'd like to apologize to anybody who told me that they received a box from Cigar One without a barcode. What it is that Cigar One often puts an inventory sticker directly over the barcode on the warranty seal, and some people mistake this as them removing the barcode. But what it is that the number is still present on the micro cereals. But it seems that both scenarios do occur, where there are times when Cigar One will remove a barcode, and it probably isn't even Cigar One, it's probably the distributor that sold them the cigars. Usually the merchant does not want the cigar to have the serial removed, because it makes their life more difficult when somebody comes to them and says, hey, how come the serial is removed from this box of cigars? It's more work for them, and it takes away from their image as a seller of top quality cigars. And the irony in all this is that on the secondary market, I finally procured a handful of K. Dorsey Corona Claro recently that was originally obtained from Cigar One, and the serial number was removed. But I was able to confirm it via piecing together the micro cereals, which were several digits were left intact in a couple of spots. I was able to piece the serial together and confirm it. and I'll get a couple of shots up of those just so you guys can see them. That vitola, for some reason, at the vendors has been like a unicorn. You really can't get them anywhere on any of the popular sites that we talk about here. And the funny thing is that I'm being told by guys that were in Cuba recently that they're all over Cuba. So I don't know why they're all down there and nobody's getting them anywhere else. But I received a partial box with 8 cigars that I purchased from one of my buddies in the Cuban Exchange 2.0 group that I help admin. And thank you to the guys that took the time to request an invite to the group, and welcome to the community. If you guys are interested in joining the Cuban Exchange 2.0 Facebook group, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, and we'll get that worked out. We'll get you hooked up. And some of you guys are already on there, and you're seeing what's available to be purchased there. And I've gotten some great deals there over the course of the last year and change. And I hope you guys that are interested enjoy yourselves over there. But anyways, back to my point with Cigar One. I want to apologize because at the end of the day, it really doesn't change any of the stock that you'll receive from Cigar One. They're still an extremely high quality vendor. Their shipping is excellent. They sell an excellent caliber of cigars. They're very strict on QC and whatnot. But there is the small possibility that you could get a box with the serial number removed from Cigar One. And there is the possibility that the cigars that you receive from them may not have come from Intertabac AG. And also, too, what upsets me about this situation is that they're advertising themselves as an officially licensed retailer, but they don't have that certification, which irks me. And the other thing that irks me about that scenario is that these guys are charging prices that would indicate that they are an official retailer and that they are not a gray market retailer. And they might be less of a gray market retailer than other vendors that I use, but that does not make them an official retailer by any means. So for them to be charging the prices that they charge for certain cigars, Cohiba especially, and another one of my viewers just told me that he purchased a box of Trinidad Fundadores for over $800. Like, no, man, this is not cool. I don't like it at all. I'm telling you guys right now that, for a retailer to be charging those kind of prices and not even have that official status, it is not cool in my book. And what I said in the last video still stands. I would advise you guys buy your Cohiba elsewhere. If you are concerned about buying from the gray market, then we still have the option of Friends of Habanos. They are a certified Habano specialist. I will put up a screenshot from Habanos SA's website right now with their address on it. And that will show you guys that they are 100% confirmed to be a Habano specialist. And you will never receive a box without a serial number there. I want you guys to understand something, though, is that getting a box with the serial number removed does not mean anything except that the box was received from a distributor outside of that retailer's authorized network. Okay? There is no foul play involved when a reputable retailer is buying cigars on the gray market. Okay? On our end, anyway. They're not trying to be dishonest to you. They are obtaining the cigars through a unconventional means. So, a lot of people seem to be very fixated on serial numbers and stuff like that. And I'm just saying that, a lot of the cigars that I received last year, some of the very best boxes that I got were from gray market retailers. So please do not automatically assume because a retailer is gray market, that they're somehow selling inferior product. Okay. And somebody said to me that when the regional distributor gets master cases, that the gray market retailers get the shit that's left over after the La Casa del Habanos and Habano specialists pick through it. I don't know if I would necessarily agree with that or believe it. And I'm going to say right now that, and others have presented this argument to me in the past, and I'm more on their end of things now than I was previously. Pretty much any vendor that we talk about on this channel will send you a sealed box upon request. So my question is that if the box comes sealed, how do they know which cigars are superior to others? And then when we talk about which cigars are superior to others, what defines superior? They have prettier wrappers. Like there's the labels are nice. Like, no, like, like I don't know. I'm just not seeing it. I have cigars that come straight off the shelf from a European tobacconist that look just like the ones that I got from from Cigars of Habanos or Puro Express. The only time that I will agree that some of the gray market stuff might not be as high quality as some of the official retailers is when we are dealing with boxes that may have been procured from distributors who didn't have storage conditions that were as good as others, because that I can see is that maybe something was stored in less than stellar storage conditions at one time. But if you stay away from certain vintages and certain types of packaging, we can certainly avoid this. But, the difference in price that we're talking about here often can be substantial. Buying a box of Cohiba Robustos for $450 or $400 is a lot less painful than buying them for $800 from, some La Casa del Habano in Europe somewhere. Okay. And for those that say that $400 or $450 is just too low for a genuine box of cigars, all right, guys. Cohiba Robustos are literally on 24.24 at Friends of Habanos right now for $398. Okay? So don't tell me that they can't be sold for in the neighborhood of $400, because they clearly can. All right? I received a box of Monte Cristo Especial number 2, barcode and serials intact from Cigar One for $200. Okay? I received, all sorts of great boxes of cigars that were not gray market sourced on sale for good prices. So for those that are saying that, the La Casa del Habano prices for certain things that you're mistaking taxes with quality. All right. Just because one country has higher taxes than another does not mean automatically that they received better cigars than another. So if you want to buy into the EMS hype, then you're free to do so. I bought into it at one time, and I now sit on the other side of the table. Okay? But we're going to come back in a moment, and when we come back, we are going to talk about cheap and cheerful Cuban cigars and how to stretch your money the furthest to get the best Cuban cigars for the money. Welcome back, guys. So the first thing we're going to get into here is the best value cigars that are premium brands, but a small vitola. Okay, so I want you guys to imagine right now that you have roughly $100 to spend on a box of cigars. Okay, and what we're going to do tonight is stretch that $100 as far as we can get it to go to get you guys the best possible smoking experience that you can have for that money. All right, so I've compiled a couple of different lists here that you can take into consideration. Okay, so here's two lists of 5. All right, and the first list is going to be premium brands and small vitolas that are smoking very well right now. And the second list is going to be a culmination of 10 count boxes of premium brands that typically retail for $100 or less, and smaller cigars that are probably about Petit Corona sized. So getting into the first list, all right, the cigars that I smoke very often wind up being Demi Corona or Lunch Club format cigars. As you guys saw in Vendor Bowl, I purchased quite a few of these boxes last year because I do believe that Cuba is hands down the leader of making the world's best small format cigars. They have cut a lot of the smaller and thinner vitolas in recent years, but they are still producing some incredible small vitola cigars. These vitolas are typically a between 4 and 4 1/3 inches long by a 40 or 42 ring gauge, and they are sometimes referred to as Petit Coronas, not to be confused with the slightly larger vitola. I don't personally like calling them that because I believe that just creates too much confusion. Some people call them Très Petit Coronas. I don't like that one either. The Demi Corona or Lunch Club format, I believe, is the most distinguishable one. So right off the bat, I'm going to say that one of the most surprising value boxes that I got late last year was from Cigars of Habanos. I received a 25 count box of Punch Petite Coronations Tubos. Okay, and these were rolled at the La Corona factory, which currently is using the LGR factory code. And this box, I believe I purchased it for about $104. So, roughly $100 netted me 25 cigars in tubos. And these cigars surprised me because while everyone knows that I love punch cigars, the caliber of these cigars for the money, and they came with 2 years of age on them right off the bat. They were ready to be smoked the day I received them. And I had a hard time keeping my hands out of that box for a few weeks after I got them. I stopped myself after I had gone through almost half the box because I didn't want to I didn't want to burn through them all that quickly. But that often happens with me when I discover a cheap and cheerful cigar like this, that I just, I wind up smoking them all the time. Some people think that I smoke these like super high-end cigars all the time and that I'm constantly, lighting up a $15 or $20 cigar every time I smoke. That really isn't the case at all. Most of the cigars that I smoke are between $2 and $8 a piece. And I have cut back in my smoking pretty considerably in the last couple of months. I went from smoking 15 to 20 cigars a week to smoking about 5 to 7 cigars a week. I'm still trying to get a cigar in every day. There might be a day or two during the week where I don't really get a chance to. A lot of things have been going on the last couple of months in my life. Good changes, but sometimes I don't get the time that I used to enjoy cigars quite as long and quite as much. But I do make my smoking time count. when I do get a chance to smoke now. But I would advise any fans of Fonseca, any fans of the larger punch vitolas, anybody who really enjoys a floral and easygoing mellow cigar to give these Punch Petite Coronations a try. There's a good chance you'll probably get a box with some age on it. They're one of the less popular smaller format Cubans that you can find right now. And they, oh man, just one of the best surprises I got last year. So number 4 on my list here might be cheating it a little bit. Because it's not a 25 count box, but you can almost always find this 12 count box of Trinidad Reyes. You can almost always find it for under $100, and often you can find them on sale for about 70 to 75 US dollars for a 12 count box of Trinidad Reyes. Now, for a cigar of this caliber to be obtainable in a package of more than 10 for this price, those who are new to Trinidad, haven't tried it yet, this is a great starting point. This is one of the strongest Trinidad vitolas, but if you let these acclimate and you give them a chance to rest a few months in your humidor after you get the box, and check the draw on them before you light it up, maybe give the cigar a feel, see how firm they are and whatnot, because they are known to sometimes come with a tight draw. But when you get one that's on, they are on, let me tell you. They are smoking beautifully. I have an August 2018 box that I got from Cigar One, and they deliver the Trinidad flavor to the core. And I promise you that if you pick up a box of these, if you enjoy Trinidad, you will enjoy these. And they're just a cigar that almost every Habanos enthusiast keeps a box or two of them in their arsenal, just so they always have, a quick blast of the Trinidad profile. And for those curious about the Trinidad profile, they are most similar, I believe, to Bolivar in the sense that they have the same kind of lemony citrus kind of blast. And I think that if a Bolivar and a Cohiba, they loved each other very, very much, and they got together and made a Trinidad. That's kind of how I like to think of Trinidad in terms of their flavor profile, because they have a similar earthiness to a lot of the Cohibas in the Linea Classica, but they have that cedar and lemony twangy brightness that Bolivar is known for. And to be able to get a box of 12 high-quality Trinidad cigars in this format for $75 if you can get it on sale, or less than $100 in almost all cases, it would be totally remiss of me to not include that on the list. The third cigar I'm going to cover on this list that should come as no surprise to those who saw the Vanderbilt 2019 feature and those that follow me on Instagram. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, you guys may want to add me, cigar_salute. Page is updated almost every day, and that's where I'm most active. But the El Rey del Mundo Demitas, which I went through about 2.5 boxes last year. I still have half the box of the current one that I have. Incredible cigar. The 2018 and 19 El Rey del Mundos. I don't know if it got extra attention because of the La Reina British regional edition for 2018 that was released last year. But I will say that 2018 and 19 El Rey del Mundos, the box of Choice Supreme I have, is one of the best boxes of cigars I own. And the Demitas delivers a blast of that ERDM flavor extremely well. Several of you guys have picked up boxes of Demitas on my recommendation, and they have written to me and said, Dan, I can't believe that a cigar this small delivers a flavor like this. People dismiss them because I even jokingly put in the vendor bowl feature. I put a photo up of the El Rey del Mundo Demitas next to a thing of chapstick, just to give a scale of the size of the cigars. They're roughly the size of a cigarette, but they will burn for over a half hour if you take your time with them, and even if you're blowing through them quickly, they'll still last you a good 25 minutes or so. So, number 2 is a cigar that absolutely nobody should sleep on who enjoys Cuban cigars, whether you enjoy smaller cigars or not. Almost every Cuban enthusiast has a box of these in their repertoire because they are that good. And sometimes it's hard to tell if you're smoking a cigar or eating a candy bar when you're smoking this particular cigar. And it is a cigar that I almost always give to folks who don't smoke cigars often if they are sitting down with me and having a cigar. And that is the San Cristobal de la Habana Principe. The Principe is one of the absolute best kept secrets and best values that you can find in Cuban cigars today. It is, in my opinion, the best cigar in San Cristobal's lineup. A lot of other folks, I think, would agree. I have tried the larger vitolas. I've even had some of the older LCDH exclusives that they don't make anymore, like the Oficios and the Principe. I had purchased a 2017 box, also rolled at the La Corona factory from Cigars of Habanos about a year ago. And I have just under half of that box left because I've been trying to save them, excuse me. And I recently had a more recent example, and they're still smoking just as well as the 2017s are. Incredible cigar, in my opinion. Incredible value. You can find a box for under $120. And I think it's a great entry point into the world of Cuban cigars for anybody who hasn't ever had a Cuban cigar. It'd be one of the first boxes I recommended to somebody. And it's a box of cigars that I'm always going to keep on hand in my collection personally because I enjoy them that much. Extremely, extremely sweet cigar. A lot of folks compare it to French toast or pancakes and syrup. Just very, very candied flavor. Very, very rich and decadent cigar. And it's not heavy on the palate either. It's not a heavy nicotine cigar. It's not a heavy strength cigar, but it is full of flavor, which you'll notice with Cuban cigars is that they can be complex and loaded with flavors, but they won't overwhelm your palate, and they will not deliver a blast of nicotine that your body will react to in a negative way. So I would have to say that the number one small vitola in Cuba right now, the number one small vitola, small format cigar right now is the Ramon Allones Small Club Corona. I, as you guys know, had purchased a box of these from Puro Express in the late summer, and the initial box that I received from them was infested with tobacco beetles, and it was a September 2017 box, which I threw out after discovering the tobacco beetles. When Puro Express sent me the replacement, they sent me a March 2019 box rolled at the Partagas factory, which is currently using the MSU factory code. Anything that MSU is touching right now seems to be gold, and these are no exception. It was a tough choice to include either the Trinidad's or the Bolivar Corona Jr. on this list, and we're going to include the Bolivar Corona Jr.'s on this list as a bonus, let's say, because they were also rolled at the Partagas factory, and the construction on these cigars, just like the Ramon Allones, is amazing. Flawless. Every cigar draws perfectly open, and pretty much every cigar on this list, minus the Trinidad, I have had a completely 100% wide open draw that needed zero manipulation from any draw tool almost any time I picked them up. So these Ramon Allones Small Club Coronas, they deliver a flavor that is just incredible. It's almost like a sweet nutmeg flavor that I find in some of the better, the upper tier, well-aged Partagas. And I always say that Ramon Allones is like the better cousin to Partagas. I think that Partagas, Juan Lopez, and Ramon Allones are very closely related in their core DNA as far as the blends go, but they all have their subtle differences. I like to think that Ramon Allones has like a more decadent, nutty flavor. Partagas covers the spicy end, and Ramon Allones, Juan Lopez covers like a more like spiced chocolate kind of like cocoa powder and floral kind of notes. But they all have similar strength. They all have a similar profile with those main differences between them. But the Ramon Allones Small Club Corona is one of the absolute best values of any size cigar that you can get in Cuba right now. You can find a box for just over $100, sometimes a little bit less if they're on sale. And people are, I've had several people write me and ask me about the La Casa del Habano exclusive Superiores, because they noticed that I had purchased them and I had them featured in the Vendible video. Like I said in that video, I'm going to say it again, that the Small Club Corona is probably the best of the marca right now. And that includes the specially selected, which I also enjoy very much. I don't have a box at the moment. I probably will get one at some point. But I would absolutely purchase a box of Small Club Corona before I bought a box of Superiores. The value is there. It is one of the best cigars that I purchased in 2019 of any size. So to say that you can get a box of these for around $100 is nothing less than awesome, because you can smoke cigars of that caliber for that cheap. There's something to be said for that. So those of you who haven't given that cigar a chance, or any of these cigars on the list that I just mentioned a chance, I would highly recommend that you do so, because even if you're somebody who prefers to smoke larger cigars most of the time, I'm telling you right now that it never hurts to change up, and it never hurts to have some small format cigars of high quality like this in your collection, because the day may come where you don't have the time to light up a Robusto or light up a Torpedo or a double Corona or a Churchill, and you're going to want something that you can, finish in roughly an hour, give or take a few minutes, and you're going to want something that delivers high quality, and these are perfectly sized cigars for people who don't have a lot of time daily and like to smoke. And these are perfect commute cigars. These are perfect wedding cigars for folks that don't want to spend 2 hours with a large format cigar out back at a wedding or a party or something like that. And the quality of the flavor and experience that they deliver is just as substantial as their larger cousins. So we're going to come back in a minute, and we're going to get into the next list. All right, guys, stick around. Welcome back, friends. So we're on to the second of our 3 lists for tonight. And the list that we're going to get into now is 5 cigars that are larger formats that you can have for $100 or around $100 that will present you with a fantastic value for the money. Okay? So the first cigar we're going to get into on this list is the Por Larrañaga Monte Carlos. All right. Now, those of you who saw the Por Larrañaga Monte Carlos in my Vendible feature, I bought those from Cigars of Habanos for roughly $72. They're probably around the same price still. They were from 2017. They were from April 2018 and rolled at the La Corona factory. The construction of these 6 1/4 by 33 Panatellas is fantastic. I have had an excellent draw on every single cigar out of the box, and I've gone through roughly half the box so far. These are a cigar that will probably need a little bit of age. When I got them, they had just under a year of age, and they were okay when I got them. I wasn't especially impressed, but I will say that the last 3 of these cigars that I have lit up, starting with a couple of months ago, about 4 or 5 months ago, I lit one up, and I was like, holy shit, these things have really, really come into their own. Those of you who have smoked a good Por Larrañaga, like a good Por Larrañaga Petit Corona or a good Por Larrañaga Picadores, will know immediately that bright, sweet kind of like caramel apple type flavor. Everyone uses the word caramel when they describe Por Larrañaga. I'm not 100% on board necessarily with that note solely. Like my palate kind of interprets it more as like just like a bright, sweet, savory, fruity flavor. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a different type of like Cuban twang, but it is very unique to Por Larrañaga, and it is excellent. And with a little bit of age on these cigars that will cost you well under $100 in most cases, you will get over an hour of fantastic smoking experience. I smoked one of these Panatellas the other night, and it was an absolute sublime experience with a cigar. I would put this cigar against cigars that cost 3 times as much and tell you that the Por Larrañaga might come out on top of it if you were to do a taste test of, putting this against one of your current cheap and cheerful status cigars. And of course, taste is a subjective thing, but one thing that I like to see people do in the world of cigars, whether it's Cuban or otherwise, is branch out. I know some folks like to stick to the same brand all the time. They find something they like and they stick to it, and I understand that and I respect it. For those of us who like to branch out and try variety, though, the real gems in Cuba very often can be hidden in the value cigars and the niche brands. A lot of people aren't looking at San Cristobal. A lot of people aren't looking at Por Larrañaga. A lot of people aren't looking at El Rey del Mundo. They're going right for those, Monte Cristo Linnea 1935 cigars, which, they're really good, don't get me wrong. But, before I dropped $500 on a box of, 1935s for one of the smaller mid-sized vitolas, and I have a Leyenda sitting in my humidor I haven't smoked yet, but I have smoked the Dumas and the Maltese. I'll tell you right now that the Dumas I had with about a year of age on it was still sick, and I won't say it was sick, but it was incredibly harsh. Way too strong. It would probably benefit from another year of aging, but the Maltese that I smoked a couple months later was fantastic. Great cigar, but in terms of value that we're speaking in right now, for that $500, I can get you 7 boxes of cigars that will guaranteed put a smile on your face. Okay, so that's what I'm doing right here, right now. That's what I'm trying to do anyway. And I'm telling you guys that these Por Larrañaga Monte Carlos, you'll find that a lot of enthusiasts have a box of these in their collection, and for good reason. All right. And the next cigar on our list is another reason. I put up a written note in Vendor Bowl about ignoring sites like Reddit and Cigar Inspector and stuff when they talk about certain things. If you read Cigar Analysis, there's apparently only 2 real Cuban cigar vendors online, and the rest of them are selling fakes. And the ones that are real are in England, and you're going to pay, $6,000 and mortgage your home for a box of Monte Cristo number 4s. But these guys on some of these websites, they just, they contradict themselves all over the place, and half the time they have no clue what the fuck they're talking about. and they have an agenda. Those sites are owned by somebody a lot of the time, and they're driven either by advertising or they're driven by the person owning them trying to steer you in a particular direction. So some of these review sites, and the other thing too, guys, is that even if that's not the case, somebody who wrote a bad review on a cigar in 2013 or 2012, that doesn't fucking mean anything for 2018 or 19 or 2017, because, the blend could have been, revised or changed, or maybe they just had a dud. Who knows, man? It happens. Sometimes you light a cigar and it's, just like sometimes with Cuban cigars especially, sometimes you just get a dud. It doesn't happen often. People talk about the quality of Cuban cigars being bad, or the quality control being bad, or the this or that being bad. I'll tell you right now that I rarely ever run into a problem that's not easily rectifiable with Cuban cigars, whether it's a taste issue, a draw issue, or whatever. So I'm not sure what they're talking about. A lot of times I think that a lot of people just parrot what they've read online, and that's the problem with the internet sometimes, is that misinformation sticks. It's like, one person that knows a few things expresses their opinion somewhere, and that opinion gets fucking parroted everywhere, and yeah, we should be listening to what those with experience have to say, but that does not mean that we shouldn't be experiencing things for ourselves to form our own opinions on things, because oftentimes you will find that your experience might be different than the person that, may have told you to steer clear of a particular cigar to begin with. And the cigar that I'm talking about is the H. Upmann Regalius. And in this case, it benefits us because so many people have read bad reviews on this cigar from the early 2010s that the very much higher quality boxes that are floating around at vendors right now are already 2 or 3 years old, and you can find these boxes for just over $100. I paid $105 for a box of these that came from March 2017. It came from Cigars of Habanos, and I will tell you right now that I'm not a huge Upmann fan, but these are excellent cigars, and they would. They're affordable enough to be a daily driver, and they are extremely high quality cigar. And if you're looking for something cheap and cheerful, there it is. That's an absolute. The packaging is gorgeous. The construction of the cigars and the flavor of the cigars is incredible. Okay, I gave them to a few people. Shared them with a few friends. They were all extremely impressed with them, and a lot of people couldn't believe how affordable they actually were after smoking them. The next cigar is a bit of an anomaly on the list, but right now I believe it's something that if you're looking for a excellent cigar for the money, for the value, in 2018, 2019, 2020, these are in high abundance, and they are often going on sale for under $100 or just around $100. And that is the La Gloria Cubana Serie D number 5, 2017 Spanish Regionals. Okay, now, like I brought up in Vendor Bowl, I don't know if it was a mistake from, like a miscommunication between Habanos SA and the distributor, but 50,000 boxes of these Petite Robustos. They're like 4 1/3 inches by 50 ring gauge, so they're the same size as a Partagas D5. That's why they're called the Serie D number 5. 10 count boxes of these cigars going around for under $100, and there's 50,000 of them floating around. They're going to be around for a couple more years or so. Vendors are putting them on sale left and right. You can often get the boxes for, I've seen them go for as low as $95 or $97 at sites like iHavanas, and they're absolutely worth it. And I will tell you right now that the quality of that smoking experience, the object of this list is to smoke well for the least amount of money, and you will be getting a substantially aged cigar for a very reasonable price tag. And even if you bought the Por Larrañagas and the H. Upmans, and then you bought the La Glorias, if, let's say, you were compiling your entire smoking arsenal just on this list, the La Gloria could be one of your like weekend cigars or your treat cigars, and they would, the 10-count box would last a substantial amount of time, and you could smoke the other cigars as daily drivers. But for the money, the quality of this cigar is excellent. It delivers a lot of the La Gloria Cubano experience for a very reasonable price. And as I discussed in previous videos, the only remaining regular production vitola of La Gloria Cubana is the Humidor series, Humidor number 4, which is a Panatella, and an amazing Panatella, but a lot of folks aren't into the skinnies. And, I happen to love Panatellas and slim format cigars, but for folks who want something like, that blend, but in a more consumable, more approachable format. Because I realize there is a difference in the way that you have to smoke cigars according to vitola. A Panatella takes time. A Panatella takes relaxation and no distraction. A Panatella is, in my opinion, a true connoisseur cigar. A Panatella commands your time. A Panatella commands your patience in order to achieve a optimal experience with it. It is a truly sublime experience, a truly relaxing experience if you give it the chance to give it to you. But for those who want a great experience with the La Gloria Cubana blend without having to commit to the constraints of a Panatella, the Serie D number 5, first off, it's a 2017 regional, okay? Regional edition cigars, the tobacco is aged for a minimum of 2 years before it's rolled. So while there is aging involved with regular production Habanos, you're getting a little bit of extra age with the regional edition cigars. And to be able to get a box of regional edition cigars at this price is unheard of. And I think a lot of it has to do with the sheer numbers of them that exist out there. Okay, so for the money, the value of these cigars, I believe, is an excellent value. And you're going to get some amazing artwork that comes with these cigars. And you're going to find some god-awful health warning stickers on the box, just because you'll see some beautiful artwork that's desecrated by these health warning stickers. Real quick, a nice tip to get rid of those without damaging the box. Remove the cigars from the box. Put them in a Ziploc bag. Take the empty box and take a hairdryer, okay? Heat the sticker with the hairdryer and gently peel back. And that should take most of the glue residue with it, and the sticker will peel off without ripping the box. And I promise you, take a look at some of this artwork over here, man. It's just absolutely beautiful box of cigars. And while they will be around, I believe, for a couple of years, just because of the sheer numbers, they're not going to be around forever. So get a box while you can, throw it in your collection, and give one a shot, because I promise that you'll probably like it. Number 2 is another premium cigar that comes in a 10-count box that can often be had for $100 or less. And that is the Romeo and Julieta Short Churchill, okay? Now, I received a April 2018 box of these from Cigars of Habanos last year, and they blew me away. The construction of the cigars is immaculate. The wrappers are this beautiful rosado-tinged color, and the flavors that these deliver is Romeo and Juliet to its core. It's a distinct, exotic perfumed wood kind of flavor. A lot of people liken it to cherries, which I could see that. And the flavors that they talk about on the Friends of Habanos form and whatnot are in this cigar in spades. And this is an extremely affordable high-end cigar from an extremely popular brand. And the 10-count boxes, I believe, are a blessing. It gives everybody a chance to smoke really well for not a ton of money. And that is one thing with Cuban cigars that I believe that they truly excel at. I only wish, I don't know why they don't do it, probably because they want you to spend the money, but I really wish that they would start putting Cohiba in 10 count boxes. I believe they did at one time, they probably stopped in the late 90s or early 2000s, but a box of 10 of other stuff besides Behike and Pyramides Extra and Maduro 5. I mean, I don't know why they do it for the Maduro 5, but they won't do it for the Linea Classica or the Siglos. I know they put the Siglo 6 in a 10 count box and the Pyramides Extra, but I mean, the list might look a little different if you could get a 10 count package of Exquisitos or Corona Specials, for 120 or 150 bucks or whatever. But I will say that the Romeo and Juliet Short Churchill 10 count box is one of the best 10 count packages that you can get in this price range, and the artwork is beautiful, and 10 cigars of this caliber for that price, I would put a Romeo and Juliet Short Churchill against almost any non-Cuban cigar, and it will hold its own. And that's the thing about Cuban cigars that I tell people is that, price isn't necessarily always a reflection of the high quality. And even some of the most legendary and highly acclaimed Cuban cigars can be had for under $10 a piece, which if you go to the American market, typically if you're going to get into like the upper echelon of cigars, you're talking in excess of $15 to $20 a piece. Where you got your Opus X's and your Padron Family Reserves or 1926s, you're talking about dropping substantial coin on a box or a single cigar. In Cuba, it's not necessarily like that. There's extremely popular yet very affordable cigars that are legendary and highly acclaimed that will not cost you a ton of money to own a box of them. And that's one thing I love about Habanos SA is that they make these 10 count packages of these legendary cigars. I wish they would make a few more, like I said, a few more Marcas and a few more Vitolas. But right now, what we have to work with, is Romeo and Juliet and Monte Cristo in 10 count boxes of almost, most of the popular Vitolas are available in 10 count boxes. And I would highly recommend for those of you who are trying to build a collection without dropping a nut on expensive 25 count boxes of cigars, this is a way for you to obtain a nice couple of handfuls of these cigars for your collection, and you can save them for special occasions and have a good supply of them to last you a while. So the number one cigar on this list is extremely affordable, extremely delicious, and a legendary cigar. And so popular that it was once the most popular cigar in the world. And that is the 10 count box of Monte Cristo number 4s. Now, when these are on sale, you can get probably 2 boxes for $120. A 10 count box typically retails for between $60 and $80 US. And when these cigars are on, they are on. There is nothing like a good Monte Cristo. There really isn't. And the Monte Cristo number 4 is an outstanding Petit Corona, one of Cuba's best. And I realize that they are produced in a lot of factories by a lot of different rollers. But most of the time you're going to get a excellent box of these cigars. And they rarely have draw problems. And they are a very high quality cigar that delivers the Monte Cristo profile in spades. Okay, and the current examples of these cigars are smoking beautifully. The 10 count box of Monte Cristo number 4s that I received was from July 2017 from Cigars of Habanos, and it is one of the top 10 boxes that I got last year. Incredible cigars. And for any Cuban cigar enthusiast or for anybody entering the world of Cuban cigars, this is the holy grail for under $100, in my opinion, for a minimum of a 10 count package. Obviously, if you really want to talk about Holy Grail under $100, we can talk about Cohiba, 3 or 5 packs. I noticed Cohiba is a very polarizing subject. Some folks think they're just absolutely not worth the money. That's a whole nother episode. If you're trying to have that conversation with me, I'm going to tell you right now that I sit absolutely on the other side of that argument. I am a very big fan of Cohiba cigars. And I do believe that they are worth the money, and I do believe that they are some of the world's best cigars. And I absolutely notice the difference in the way a Cohiba tastes versus any other Cuban cigar or any other cigar I've ever tasted. But unfortunately, Cohiba does not come in a 10-count package, so I'm not going to include them on this list. The Monte Cristo number 4, in my opinion, is the apex of the 10-count box format. As far as like somebody that's a newcomer to Cuban cigars or trying to build a nice collection for a reasonable price. Okay. And if you're not a fan of this thinner vitola, then I would say go for the Petite Edmundo, which can be had for a similar price, a few more dollars. Either a lot of times they're $99 or $89, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. The Monte Cristo Petit Edmundos that I got from Cigars Urbanos were a 10-count box for, I believe it was like $76, and I paid, they were from March of 2017. And I'm not sure of the factory. I believe the code was PUR. I don't know what factory that is. I will say they weren't the prettiest cigars, but they tasted amazing. God damn. So I hope you guys found these lists useful. And if anybody has any questions or if anybody has any alterations, in fact, I'd like to hear in the comments section. You guys, give me your top 5 cheap and cheerfuls, okay? I'd like to hear that. And I'd like to compile a list for any newcomers that email me. I'm going to take whatever suggestions you guys give me. You guys give me your lists. I will cut and paste them. I will put them in an email and put them all together to send to my viewers or to send to newcomers who email me for suggestions. I'd really appreciate your help with that. Me personally, if I was guiding somebody like a friend, like if I was guiding a friend that wanted to explore Cuban cigars and wanted to make sure that they built up a nice variety in their collection for a good price, this is what I would get them started with. And like I said, I didn't include Cohiba on the list for the reason that they don't sell really any 10-count packages, except for their like ultra premium stuff or their obscure stuff. But I think that this is a real solid collection right here in its own right. And, then we bring in all sorts of other auxiliaries when you factor in stuff like singles and whatnot and fivers or quarter boxes from Friends of Urbanos 2424. But the last part of this feature that we're going to get into when we come back is my 10 box purchases for 2019. I promised that I would deliver that to you guys after the Vendible feature, and I know I rung off a few of them already. We will go through that list when we come back. All right, guys? What's up, friends? So we're in the home stretch now. And this final part to this feature is going to be something that I discussed in Vendor Bowl and that I had promised I would deliver you guys as my next feature. I hope you guys enjoyed my top 5 lists that I just listed to you guys. And right now, what we're going to get into is something that was... all 3 of these lists were pretty hard to put together because there's just so much stuff that's smoking really well right now. 2018, 2019, I haven't had anything from 2020 yet, but 2018 and 2019, I think, are going to be looked back as years to be sought after and revered. And we are very lucky to be in such a time right now where Cuban cigars are smoking phenomenally. Okay. And just, pretty much it's, every marca is just hitting right now. And, I got really lucky last year and I purchased some incredible boxes. And you guys saw for yourself probably about 90% of the boxes that I purchased last year. The other 10% coming from the secondary market, which, they didn't come from a vendor overseas, so I wasn't going to showcase them really on the feature. But 2018 and 2019 cigars are just smoking that well right now, where I had a hard time picking out just 10 boxes that I really, really, really resonated with. But if I was to pick out 10 boxes that I received from online overseas vendors last year, this right here would be my top 10 list. So we're going to start with number 10. And it is a box that I don't actually have anymore. I have about 2 or 3 of them left. It was a box split I did with my coworker early last year, and that was for Bolivar Petite Coronas from March 2018, rolled at the Partagas factory that I split with my coworker. Okay, and they came from Cigars of Habanos, and these Bolivar Petite Coronas, they needed about a month and a half of acclimation time, maybe a little bit more. But once these cigars hit their stride, they have just continually gotten better and better every time I pick one up. And for the price, I believe it was about $125 at the time. So my coworker got 13 of the cigars in the box, and I got 12 of the cigars, and I kicked in $60. So for $5 a pop, not even speaking in terms of value, it's a great cigar. But when you factor that in, that they were such a good value on top of as great as they are, I believe that the Bolivar Petite Corona is my favorite of the marca, perhaps tied with the Royal Corona maybe. I have some 2015 Royal Coronas that are absolutely incredible. But Bolivar is one of the best upper echelon cigars that you can get right now in terms of consistency and value. Bolivar is very popular these days, especially with American enthusiasts who like a stronger cigar, but they are balanced enough where they will not murder your palate. The thing about Cuban cigars is that even the stronger blends and brands that are known to be strong, one of the main taste components that is typically absent from Cuban tobacco is, and people that know Nicaraguan tobacco know this very well, is that one of the hallmarks of Nicaraguan tobacco is spice. Nicaraguan cigars just, they load you on pepper, 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 pepper. I joke around with people and I call them leather logs and pepper pipes, because they just blast your palate with an overwhelming amount of pepper and nicotine. And the thing about Cuban cigars is that even when they're strong, they just never overwhelm you with spice. Some of the cigars do have spicy notes to them, but it's never an overwhelming note in any cigar. And Bolivar perfectly captures strength with finesse. And as they get a little bit of age, they will continue to exhibit finesse, and the flavors become more and more pronounced. Okay, it is like a blend of cedar, lemons, with a little bit of floral earthiness, and it is a absolutely dreamy combo for a full-flavored Cuban cigar. And for the value that these cigars have, Royal Coronas were just on 24.24 on Friends of Habanos tonight, actually, for $169 for a box of 25. which is an amazing value, one of the best prices I've ever seen them at. And you can find them regularly for prices under $200 a box at Cigars of Habanos and I Havanas and probably Puro Express also. But if you have not checked out any of the 2018 or 19 Bolivars yet, the Petite Corona makes a great starting point. The Corona Juniors are also excellent as well. But any of the Bolivars right now are hitting incredible. And I would not sleep on that brand. If you tried it in the past and didn't like it, I would suggest you try them again. Okay? The next box, number 9 on our list that we are going to discuss is the first box I got from Puro Express last year, which was a July 2018 box of Trinidad Vigia rolled at El Laguito, which is currently using the UAO factory code. Okay, these Trinidads are some of the best Cuban cigars I've ever had. Okay, they exhibit the Trinidad profile, which I described earlier in the video as being a cross between Bolivar and Cohiba. But what a thicker vitola Trinidad does is add a creamier mouthfeel to the smoke that you may not find in the Colonials or the Reyes. The Colonial still remains my favorite Trinidad, but this particular box of Vigia is the very best I've ever had of that particular cigar. I have had other batches of Vigia that have all been excellent, but this one takes the cake, and it is absolutely a gorgeous box of cigars. The wrappers and the quality of the construction on these cigars is magazine quality, and I have about half the box left because I try to reach for them sparingly because they're that good. And I got these on sale for about $160 last year, and for that value, these cigars were incredible. To get a cigar like that for under $15 a piece was an outstanding value, and it sticks out in my head as one of my favorite boxes that I got last year. Number 8 was one of the last boxes that I got in 2019, and it is a cigar that I initially didn't connect with very much, but in the last 7 or 8 months or 6 months or so, I really, really started to connect with it, and they're really, really picking up on the forums now, I notice. Cohiba Medio Siglos. Okay, I received a November 2018 box from Cigars of Habanos late last year. And the Medio Siglo, or as I like to refer to them at times as Petite Siglo 6, they have the same ring gauge as the Siglo 6, which is a 52, but they have a reduced length of 4 inches. So they can technically be classified as a Petite Robusto. The Medio Siglo, they're on quite a few top lists for the year. Friends of Habanos just released their top 20 list, and I believe the Medio Siglo made it there. You'll see them all over the forums currently. They're featured on 24/24 relatively regularly right now, and if you have a chance, they are one of the most affordable, thicker Vitola Cohibas that you can find right now. You can easily find a box for under $400, and I saw them go on 24/24 for about $298, which is an incredible price for the cigars. I believe Puro Express had 15 count tubo packs for about $190 US. And real quick about Puro Express, I'm actually waiting on my first online cigar order for 2020 right now, and pretty much like right after the Vendible video dropped, Puro Express's website went offline for a few days, and they reemerged with a redesigned website, a redesigned email system, and I know some of you were concerned about them, but I will tell you that I should be receiving a box of Monte Cristo No. 5 and Cohiba Siglo 1 any day now, probably tomorrow, hopefully. because they shipped out a week ago today, and Puro Express is typically very quick shipping. There's some glitches in the system right now in terms of their email system, and the website is still getting the glitches worked out, but I will report back in the next video and let you guys know how that order went when I received the cigars, because I know some of you are skeptical about ordering from them until we see what's what with them. But I am sure that things will be above board with Puro Express. I'll get into Puro again in a minute. But as far as the Cohiba Medio Siglo goes, I would grab a box of these soon, because in the next 6 months to a year, you are going to see, I believe, I personally speculate right now that these cigars will pick up in popularity to the point where the prices start going through the roof on these. Siglo 6 is one of the most expensive Cuban cigars that you could purchase in regular production. And more people are catching on to the quality of these cigars and the similarities to the Siglo 6. I personally enjoy them more because the Siglo 6 is larger than I care for. And the best Medio Siglos I've had best the Siglo 6s that I've tried. And I've only tried a couple of Siglo 6, I'll be honest. It's just not a vitola that typically appears to me, and the price is just, you can get a box of Siglo, Medio Siglo for less than half of the price of a box of Siglo 6, and there's less than 2 inches difference in the size of a Siglo 6 versus a Medio Siglo. So, to me, the popularity of the Siglo 6 has inflated the price to the point where they're just not worth it to me. There's a lot of other Cohibas I would purchase before a Siglo 6, but the Medio Siglo right now is one of the most affordable and best value Cohibas when speaking about Cohibas that come in a larger ring gauge. You can get a lot of affordable, great Cohibas in smaller vitolas, and I would advise anybody that has a soft spot for the slim cigars to give cigars like the Exquisitos or the Panatellas a chance, or the Corona Especials, because that's where I feel like the real original Cohiba lies. The first 3 vitolas released to the public, and the first 3 vitolas that were created for Cohiba were the Lanceros, which is a Laguito number 1, the Corona Especial, which was a Laguito number 2, and the Panatella, which is a Laguito number 3. And for those that make fun of the Panatella and call it a toothpick or a cigarette or a like, would you be making fun of that cigar if I called it an Ambassadrice, aka the Davidoff Ambassadrice? Because the Davidoff Ambassadrice, or Ambassadrice, however the fuck it's pronounced, not that I've ever tried one. Hopefully I'll get to at some point or another. That's something I plan on getting accomplished this year, is smoking a genuine Cuban Davidoff. But the original 3 sizes for Cuban Davidoffs were Laguito number 1, Laguito number 2, and Laguito number 3. And one of Zino Davidoff's absolute favorite Davidoffs that he smoked very often were the Ambassadrice, which is a 4.5 by 26 mini Panatella format. So those Cohibas are substantially cheaper than the rest of the Marca. So anybody that wants to taste what Cohiba is about and what the flavor profiles are of the Linea Classica, but does not want to drop $500 or $400 or $350 on a box of the more traditional or popular, I should say, vitolas, those would be the starting points that I would send you to. But the Medio Siglos right now are getting a lot of love, and they are having some excellent production runs. So I would highly recommend that you check them out. I was skeptical at first of the Medio Siglo, and the initial batches upon release are not nearly. I don't think that they were as good as what's coming out now. I feel like the examples that are coming out now are phenomenal, and I see that a lot of people out there are agreeing with me on that. That doesn't make me right, but I do think that that warrants that maybe that if you're curious, you give it a try. Okay. So number 7 is one of my favorite vitolas. Is really my favorite vitola, 6x38 Panatella. And it's one of my favorite Cuban cigar brands. And this particular example of the Monte Cristo Especial number 2, which is a Leguito number 2 Panatella. I received a box, April 2019 box from Cigar One for their Black Friday sale. It was one of the best deals I got last year, $200 for a box that usually sells for between $250 and $290 USD. And I got it for $200 even. Incredible flavors coming out of these Panatellas. The draw and construction on this particular box is absolutely phenomenal, and I cannot wait to see what age will do for this box. I'm trying my best to conserve them because they're that good. If you have not given Monte Cristo a chance in a slim format, then I highly recommend that you do so. Purchase yourself some singles of these cigars, or take a chance and get a box, because I'm going to tell you right now that the Monte Cristo Especial number 2 is one of my favorite cigars right now. And I know a lot of people feel the same way. But if you don't want to take my word for it, Friends of Habanos sell singles. Cigars of Habanos also sell singles, but you have to purchase a minimum of 12. But either way, definitely worth taking a look at the current examples of this cigar. And just because you didn't like something in 2012 or 2015 does not mean you won't like it today. While they have been staying very consistent in the flavor profiles of the marcas, some examples are always better than others. It's just the way it is in the world of cigars. It's the way it is in the world of wine. It's the way it is in the world of scotch. It's just the way it is. Especially in products like wine and cigars, where it's weather dependent and harvest dependent. So right now we are in a golden age of Cuban cigars, where everything coming out is just pure gold, it seems like. But I'm going to tell you guys right now that pretty much anything by the upper echelons is bound to please. But out of the 50 or so boxes that I got last year, this was number 7 on my list. Number 6 is a cigar I've talked about a couple of times this year, or over the last year, and that is the El Rey del Mundo Choice Supreme, which was a May 2018 example, this 25-count box I received from I Havanas last summer. Like I said in the previous section of this feature, I don't know if it was because of the Lorena Lancero that came out for Great Britain in last year for the regional, but El Rey del Mundo seemed to have gotten some extra love, because I didn't just start smoking El Rey del Mundo last year. I've been smoking El Rey del Mundo for over half a decade, and I've had vitolas. I've had examples from every year in the last 7 or 8 years. And I will say that there is no time where I feel like they tasted like this good before 2018. So I almost feel like they got some extra love because of the Lorena. But I will say that anybody who's taken my advice about current El Rey del Mundo, people are catching on. And the cigar is picking up in popularity. It's always been a relatively popular cigar for like the more local brands, but people are really noticing the difference in El Rey del Mundo the last year or so. Number 5 comes as no surprise. It was number 1 on the first list I rang off tonight, but the Ramon Iones Small Club Coronas from March 2019, rolled at the Partagas factory, that I received from Puro Express late last summer. Those are some of the best cigars that I got last year, and I burned through almost 3/4 of the box because they were that good. It was just almost impossible for me to stay out of the box at one point. And if I didn't have a morbid curiosity to see how they do with age, I probably would have burned through the whole box already. And I probably will get another box very soon just because they're that good. But not only are they an excellent value, they're just an amazing cigar right now and the best I've ever had from the marca personally. And I've had some great Ramon Allones Special Selected, but you know, the Small Club Corona just has this nutmeg type flavor that characterizes the brand for me, and it's more pronounced in the smaller vitola, and they embarrass the superiores that I have. Number 4 is July 2017, UEB July 2017 box of Monte Cristo number 4s. It's a 10 count box that I got from Cigars and Habanos. And these Monte Cristo number 4s are beautiful examples of the brand, and they're just it's the epitome of what a Monte Cristo number 4 should be and what they can deliver to you, and that is outstanding value and outstanding flavor. I spoke on Monte Cristo number 4 already a lot tonight, so I'm just going to leave that right there. But I will say that that was one of the my absolute favorite boxes that I got in 2019. And again, we have Monte Cristo at number 3 with the 10 count box of March 2017 Petite Edmundos that I got from Cigars of Habanos. And that was my first experience with the Petite Edmundo. And I have another box also, and I've smoked out of other boxes as well since then. And that was a cigar I immediately gravitated towards. It is inexpensive for the 10 count box, and they deliver a flavor and quality that is absolutely phenomenal. The Edmundo blend is slightly different than the Monte Cristo standard blend. It's a little less bright, a little more like oaky, like kind of like a nutty kind of profile, but is outstanding. And as the box has aged more and more, it's gotten a little bit more of those bright Monte Cristo notes, that twang that they call it. But outstanding box of cigars, and you can have it for under $100. I highly recommend that any cigar enthusiast, Cuban or otherwise, has a box of Monte Cristo Petite Edmundos and number 4s sitting in their collection, because these are just classic cigars from a classic marca, and it's just legendary brand. And Monte Cristo is what a lot of people think of when they think of Cuban cigars, and the Monte Cristo number 4 was the world's most popular cigar at one point. I think the Partagas D4 has taken that spot just because larger format cigars are, en vogue right now. But the Petite Edmundo, I mean, it's a Petite Robusto, 4 1/3 by 52 ring gauge, and absolutely phenomenal cigar. Number 2 would be the March 2019 box of Trinidad Colonials that I received from Friends of Habanos. I received that in early November of 2019, and it bests any other Trinidad I've ever had, ever. And I've had a decent amount of Trinidad's last year. It even bests the Laguito box of Vigia that I have. And it absolutely embarrasses the ARS February 2018 Colonials that I got from Havana's. And that's no fault of Havana's. Really, what it really is that in late 2017 and going into early 2018, there was a big problem with shortages of certain types of leaf, and I believe that Trinidad was affected by this. I'm not 100% positive on that, but I will say that the current Trinidads coming out now are far superior to what was coming out in early 2018. Anything mid-2018 to current is probably better than anything you'll see in late 2017 and early 18, except maybe the La Trova, because that probably got extra attention because of its status. But I would highly recommend that you guys take a look at the Colonials. If you guys are into like Corona Gorda size cigars or Petite Corona size cigars, this is the true Corona that sits right in the middle of those two vitolas, 5 1/4 by 44 ring gauge, excuse me. And that 44 ring gauge is just like right in my wheelhouse. And this cigar is like a perfect cross between a Bolivar Petite Corona and a Cohiba I guess a Corona Especial or a Esplendido. You know, like a Cohiba in the mid 40 ring gauge or the high 30 ring gauge. That earthiness that they deliver combined with the bright notes of a Bolivar that captures the Trinidad Colonial perfectly. And these particular examples have a creamy mouthfeel similar to the thicker Vitola Trinidads like the Vigias I have. And I think that is due to the high quality wrappers on these examples. I said it in an older feature, but I'll say it again. Try your best to never buy Trinidad blind because they vary wildly in quality at times. Try to buy them from a vendor that will sell you singles first or a vendor that has very high quality control like Friends of Habanos because that is where you're probably going to get the best experience. And I learned that the hard way last year. So I think that if you guys give this brand a chance at the right outlet at the right time, then you will find a Cuban cigar that is a high caliber like no other. They just stand in a league of their own when Trinidad is hitting. They command a premium due to their status, but they are not as inaccessible as some Cohiba Vitolas. And, for under $300, you can have a box of this caliber of 24 cigars that still actually puts them very reasonably priced. For the same amount that it would cost you to go to a local cigar lounge and sit down and smoke an Alec Bradley, you can have a cigar like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I look at things in terms of value, A lot of people complain about the prices of Cuban cigars. I'm like, what fucking planet are you on, man? To buy a box of this caliber at a shop local to me, I would spend $500 easy. And I'll get into that in another feature because I have I got into a little bit of a tiff with some guys on a message board the other day on Facebook about Adobe cigars. And my feelings on that. And I'm going to be trying an Adobe cigar pretty soon just to see, what they're really going for here and what they're really doing. But funny that we bring up Adobe right now because Adobe, in my opinion, is a relentless ripoff of Cohiba. And it should come as no surprise to anybody that Cohiba is number one on my list for my favorite box purchases for 2019 because those of you who follow my content will know that I've been raving about the box of Cohiba Corona Especials from June of 2018 that I got from Puro Express last spring. This box of Corona Especials has continued to impress me time and time again. I've smoked about 5 cigars out of the box. I'm trying my best to save them. Because I find them to be that special and that good. This, to me, is what everything that Cohiba should be. It is rich, decadent, fantastic construction, fantastic presentation. The wrappers look beautiful. The pigtails look very regal and beautiful on this cigar. And they just smoke smooth, rich vanilla, coffee, earthy floral flavors that all mingle together with a solid dose of strength that does not overwhelm the palate. A good Cohiba, when you smoke it, your palate will feel clean and refreshed after you blow the smoke out of your mouth. You never, ever feel like you smoked a strong cigar after you smoked a Cohiba. And a lot of the Cuban tobacco is like that, but Cohiba seems to be extra clean. And this box of Corona Especial has really cemented my love for the brand. I can't even begin to describe to you how much I love that cigar. It's my favorite format, the Leguito number 2 format, that 6x38 Panatella. And remember what I said about Panatella. So Panatella forces you to sit down and smoke it on its terms in order to have a good experience with it. If you smoke a Panatella too fast, it'll burn hot, it'll taste a little acrid, it'll probably burn your mouth too. And it'll just burn like shit, so the best thing with the Panatella, don't light it unless you have time to commit to it. In a regular size Panatella like this, 6x38, you're looking at an hour and a half or so to 2 hours of smoke time if you're taking your time and appreciating it the way it should be. Again, everybody's experience is different. Everyone has their own style of smoking, but for me, I'm all about keeping the smoke cool, keeping the, having the retrohale going, and just 1 to 2 puffs a minute. Don't let the cigar go out, but don't puff the shit out of it either. And outstanding, incredible cigar, and it delivered the best cigar experiences I had last year. And it is a box that I am not soon going to forget, and I hope to have. I plan on hanging on to cigars from this box for a very long time. I even joked around with my friends that if something happened to me that I wanted to be cremated, I wanted my ashes to be buried in that Cohiba Corona Especial box, and the rest of the cigars dispersed to my closest friends and cigar smoking family. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed my lists. I'd like to hear the top 10 lists of what you guys purchased in 2019. Tell me what you guys felt like was smoking the best in 2019 out of the stuff you bought. Like, what boxes did you buy last year that grabbed your attention? I want to hear a list. If you didn't buy 10 boxes, then tell me about 5 boxes that you bought last year that you felt were a cut above the rest. I really appreciate the support you guys have given me, the feedback that you guys have given me. I appreciate the growth that this channel has had, and I want to thank you guys. And I want to thank all the newcomers to my channel, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to check out my content and write me and let me know that you got something out of my videos. And if there's something that you guys feel like I could be doing better, then please let me know. If there's any questions that you guys have, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And we're going to be coming back soon with some more information and some more stuff I got going on. I've been doing a lot of different research with the Cohiba bands lately. It's just like become like just a hobby of mine, just to play around with them, because I really think that whole security tell thing is really cool. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit next episode and whatnot. So we'll come back soon, guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed this feature. Oh, real quick, a little bonus. Somebody asked me recently, and I should have addressed this at the beginning of the video, but I forgot about it. It slipped my mind. Somebody asked me, Dan, like, what does cigar salute mean? Like, how'd you get that name? How'd you think of that name? And it's actually really kind of like a simple story, but I'll explain it to you right now. Years ago, when I first started smoking cigars, I used to hang out at a lounge a lot. Especially, this is really before I got hardcore with the Cubans. And I used to hang out at this lounge on the way home from work. And, there was a lot of regulars at this lounge that hung out there on a daily basis. And I wound up getting there a little bit earlier than some of the other guys a lot of times. So I would, sit down and light up a cigar. And as the guys would walk in, I'd be smoking in my chair. And they'd walk in and be like, "Oh, hey, Dan." And I'd be like, "Yo, what's up, guys?" And I had the cigar in my hand. And that kind of became the thing. It's like the, it was like my trademark. They used to joke around and they used to do it too. Like, it's every time I waved at them, I had this, it was always with the hand, with the cigar in my hand. I would give them like the wave that was like a salute. So we started calling it the cigar salute. And, that's really kind of how the name came about. It was just cigar salute. It's just, giving one of your boys just a little salute with the cigar in your hand. So that's all it is. And I just took the name and, when I was making an Instagram a few years ago, I decided I pretty much wanted it to be like my own cigar journal. So I didn't have a name for it. And I was looking at an Ashton in my humidor, which was the estate sun-grown, like the 22-year salute or something like that. And then, it popped into my head, oh, let's call it the cigar salute, that's like the wave I was known to have with my friends at the lounge or whatever at the time. But the name stuck, and, it's mine, that's all there is to it. There's not really a whole lot to it, but for those that were curious, that's how I came up with the name. So have a good night, guys. Take care.